all right. Hello. How are we doing today, everybody? Very, very good. I hope you enjoyed the little music and the little title screen there. Trying a little something different today. Trying to bring the production value up a little bit. Welcome to the stream. I'm Jimmy, and we're gonna be doing some voice acting today. So we're gonna be doing some live auditions on the biggest casting sites. We're going to be over on voices.com, voice123.com, and if we've got time, we will head over to ACX.com, and we'll be checking out some audiobook auditions if we've got time for it. But we'll go ahead and take a look. We're going to head over and let's take a look at what we've got right now. We've got voices.com open right now. We've had some auditions rolling in, but in the interest of keeping our schedule, we've sort of let some of them get a little bit stale, but that's all right. First thing we want to do, we break it down and we say that voice acting is all about, it's a volume business with these auditions, at least on these pay-to-play casting websites. And so you want to save your own time and your sanity as well by eliminating obvious no's, things that obviously either aren't right for you or that you just have no chance of getting and is a genuine waste of your time. So scrolling around within the voices.com website, the little portal here, I can tell right away, very bottom here, this one must have come in late last night and then just sat there because it's got over 100 responses in front of me. There's no way I'm even going to be listened to as much as we might like to get this job, so we're going to go ahead and archive that. We are going to go ahead and look at this here, DEI in clinical trials. Now, you may have noticed, but I might not be the right guy for DEI. Maybe if there's like a veteran-specific hook to this DEI script. Otherwise, I'm probably not the right person for this. That's not to say that this client isn't thinking about hiring, a regular, just vanilla-ass white guy. But chances are that they're going to look for talent that makes sense with the goal of this script here. How can you say at Bayer, we are committed to the goal of inclusive clinical trials that represent the diversity required to address the needs of all patients? Like, hearing that from a white guy is like, okay, I guess we'll trust you. When you're talking to a certain a particular community, that might not go over so well. So hopefully, I imagine that they've got this in mind and they just didn't put in the metadata to make that go out to the appropriate talent. But that's okay. We are going to pass on that because it's very unlikely that we as a white guy are going to get hired for that. And then if any white guys are out there who are warming up their fingers to complain, well, boo, that's reverse racism. My friend, there's plenty of work out there for everybody. And so complaining about auditions going to where they need to go based on the client's goals is silly and a waste of time. Okay, we've got please stay as close to the ESPN ref as possible, I assume. So this is, you're trying to do a voice match or a sound match, it looks like. So is this gambling? Yeah, this is some gambling stuff. I'm not necessarily opposed. There are certain types of products or services that I won't read for, but gambling, it feels a little weird. But I put that in the same category as tobacco, probably, maybe, I guess. Like, I'm not opposed to reading a tobacco ad. But we'll see.
It's the best time of the year for college basketball fans. We are, of course, talking about March Madness. The madness is already.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about here, but this is really not a read that's in my wheelhouse. There's already 33 people ahead of us. It's a low budget, so we're going to go ahead and archive that one. Moving on to Dragonfly Health, 77 people in front of us in line. We're going to archive it. You got to move. What do we got here? We got an email. Useless email. Voice123 likes to let you know when someone has reviewed your proposal, which is useless as information. There's nothing you can act upon there. that person hasn't hired you. They haven't even necessarily liked your proposal. They just opened it or listened to it. So it's useless information, and there's no way that I can find to opt out of receiving those emails. Voice123, Rolf, or whoever the CEO is now, if you're listening, please let us opt out of that email. Corporate video 2. There are 58 people in front of us, but let's see here. For the sake of getting warmed up, getting in the mood here, we might go ahead and do this. Let's take a look here. How do you maximize yield without compromising quality? See, I am not a professional scriptwriter or anything, but I read a lot of scripts. So how do you maximize yield without compromising quality? So you can solve. So is answering a why question. Why do you maximize yield? So you can solve. So how it should be how this they just don't match. The question and answer words do not match. Maybe this is the opening line of the script and there's a bunch of stuff here that was cut and this is the closing line of the script. Maybe. But it just doesn't match, and so there's an important thing in the creative space that you got to be aware of. When you're just getting started, especially in just about any creative or maker type of space, when you don't have, a big portfolio or a deck of repeat clients sort of coming back to you yet, it can be tempting. And sometimes you don't have a choice if you're trying to pay bills to sort of race to the bottom and do the really cheap work that you can get. What you'll find, if you stick with it, if you can persevere through the cheap work, what you'll find is that the more you start to charge, the more expensive the work is, the easier it is. You would think in a lot of industries, for sure, it is the opposite. If you're I imagine if you're doing crazy construction jobs, obviously, if you're building a house where the budget is $150,000 versus $1.5 million, I'm sure the nicer house in theory should, the finishes are nicer, the trim work, all the carpentry, there's going to be newer technology. I would think, maybe the tradespeople out there can tell me I'm wrong, but you would think that in many jobs, as the dollar tag goes up on the product or service being offered, the complexity, the overall just the difficulty or the time investment is going to get tougher. But in many creative trades, it is the opposite. For a while, there was a time that I shot weddings full time. I still shoot them from time to time. They're great fun. I really love doing them. But as a wedding photographer, I found this to be as true as it could possibly be. Because imagine you're shooting a wedding for $200, which just makes me shudder. You're shooting a wedding for $200. First of all, if your client only has $200 to spend on a wedding photographer, what is their budget going to be commensurate for everything else at the wedding? So are they going to have bottom of the barrel flowers, dress, venue, linens, everything about it is probably going to be on a similar tier of budget as you, the photographer, are. So you, the photographer, you might be great, but everything else matches the budget that you've agreed to, and therefore, what are you taking pictures of? You're taking pictures of cheap flowers in a cheap venue, cheap dress, cheap linens. And so no matter how good you are as a photographer, all of the other pieces of the puzzle aren't going to show off your skill. And the other part to that, so that's sort of the final quality of work. But then there's the difficulty of the work itself. Imagine you, the client, you just sort of scrape together, okay, $200 for this photographer. Now they're thinking, boy, this photographer is only charging $200. They must be terrible. I better watch them like a hawk and make sure they're doing their job right the entire day and into the night. So you're going to have a mother of the bride or someone who is constantly get a picture of that. Make sure you get a picture of that. Oh, that person wasn't smiling right. They're going to be on you the whole day, and it's going to be, you're going to work harder and still not get better pictures, it's going to be a miserable experience. Now, if you're charging $2,500, the clients that have $2,500 to spend on a wedding are also going to have loads of money to spend on flowers, dress, linens, venue, and there's that sort of comfort that comes with, wow, it hurt, but we did it. We spent good money on a photographer, and if they're charging $2,500 for 10 hours of shooting, well, they must be really good. So I'm going to trust them to do their thing. And you get left alone to do what you're good at, and it's so much easier, and you get better shots, so the client gets better work at the end of it, but it makes your life easier. So this all comes down to, again, I am not going to badmouth clients who have low budgets in any space, whether it's weddings or in voiceovers. There are budgets for every kind of project. There are reasons for low budgets, but those clients need to be prepared to accept certain things that come along with a low budget. And when you are looking at lower budget items, now, I'm not saying this is a low budget at all, like $250 for just 18 words. Gee, that seems like a great deal. But then you get strange things in your scripts sometimes at the lower ends of budgets. And you get clients who end up wanting like 5 rounds of pickups or revisions. Things start to get a little funny. And like I said, I'm not complaining. I could be here in my underwear. Obviously, I dress up for the stream because I love you guys. But like, I'm not saying, I'm putting in days in the mines or anything. But there's certainly an opportunity cost that comes with certain things. Just because of this, the mismatch between how and so, I don't want to try to interpret that and feel like an idiot trying to interpret a script that doesn't make sense, where your question and answer words don't match. So I'm not going to. Have we belabored the point enough? Let's move on from Corporate Video 2 to Microsoft Bedtime Story. I'm curious whether this is actually a Microsoft client. You figure Microsoft has got some money to spend, so I'm curious, maybe this is some sub-client or something like that. But let's just go ahead and look at the script here. Let's open up the doc. Being a parent, Copilot in Windows. Okay, Copilot, I think, is the new little AI assistant or whatever in Windows. I just built this PC that I'm streaming on, and maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot by saying this, but Copilot is one of the first things I turned off. So maybe that precludes me from getting this or any other kind of work like this. But we're going to take a look at this, and maybe we'll go ahead and do this. We are a little bit... we're going to be kind of far back in the queue. This is kind of near the end of when I will consider submitting, but this is a good budget. It's potentially a really good client. I see Jared C. posting stuff, and he's a Voices Plus client. So this is a real legitimate client with a real proper project here. They do want Source Connect, so this will be a live directed session on the back end. So that'll be interesting. But let's make sure we don't have anything else waiting for us. Okay, that's over on Voice123. We'll get to that in just a moment. We are going to go ahead and we're going to narrate this because the whole point of this stinking stream is to do some auditions. So we're going to do it here. Now, we've got to mute something somewhere real quick here. Are we monitoring something that we ought not be? Oh, I think we got YouTube up over here. Let's close that. All right. We'll see if that gets any better there. And we'll make sure that we're not monitoring here. Apologies, everybody. Okay, we should get there. That's why D-Click is on. Okay. Much better. My RX D-Click was on, and that causes that crazy delay there. So we are going to jump in. Being a parent is one of the greatest journeys. Is the greatest. I thought we had a plurality mismatch, but I just can't read. Being a parent is the greatest journey. Being a parent is the greatest journey I've ever been on. All right. We got to get the feel for this. It's got to feel right. Being a parent is the greatest journey I've ever been on. It's not just about the big moments, but also the small ones, like bedtime stories. I grew up with stories, and now I want to pass that magic on, with a little help. Copilot in Windows, AI that gives me a hand with everyday life. I think we're approaching a good feel here. The trend is more and more casual. Just so casual that it almost seems detached, detached is a word that's starting to show up with certain kinds of ad reads. We're not going to go all the way there, obviously. There is a bit of warmth that they're going to want here because they're trying to humanize this AI product as much as possible by tying it in with a parent's, storytelling time with the kids. So we're going to keep developing this, until we feel really good about it. Being a parent is the greatest journey I've ever been. Being a parent is the greatest journey I've ever been on. But feeling good? Being a parent is the greatest journey I've ever been on. It's not just about the big moments, but also the small ones, like bedtime stories. I grew up with stories, and now I want to pass that magic on, with a little help. Copilot in Windows, AI that gives me a hand with everyday life. When bedtime comes, I love coming up with new stories with some of my sons. When bedtime comes, I love coming up with new stories with some of my sons' favorite characters. And using Copilot in Windows, I make sure I always have one handy. But by just adding a couple details, like his passion for dinosaurs. Okay. By just adding a couple details, like his passion for dinosaurs, it allows me to create a unique illustrated story for us, like magic. Every night, we have a different adventure and a memory that we'll never forget. Okay. It's interesting, this would be a case where it would be really helpful to have a sense of the imagery or the music that they're going to have underneath this, because this could be a really playful spot. This could be, shots of a young dad like wrestling with the kid. Or it could be like a really heartfelt kind of, we don't know. Music would inform that and visuals would inform that, but we have neither, and we also don't have any kind of direction or textual indication of what's going on. So we just sort of have to make a decision and run with it. Parent is the greatest journey I've ever been on. It's not just about the big moments, but also the small ones, like bedtime. It's not just about the big moments, but also the small ones, like bedtime stories. I grew up with... Okay. It's not just about the big moments, like bedtime stories. I grew up... Copilot in Windows. Okay. Looks like we've got a little bit of truck noise. I'm about 50 yards from a main road. And sometimes if it's a really, truly gigantic truck, just a little bit of this hum that you see right here, this hum will make its way into the recording. But I have EQ'd myself to where I think we're going to be okay. For the purposes of an audition, I think we're going to be okay. And for the purposes of for the live stream, it's going to be okay. Obviously, if it's a booked client, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that everything's perfect. But for an audition, you just got to move. Just about the big moments, like bedtime stories. I grew up with stories, and now I want to pass that magic on, with a little help. Copilot in Windows, AI that gives me a hand with everyday life. When bedtime comes, I love coming up with... Is this it? When bedtime comes... Yep. Okay. Delete that one, drag you over here. Give me a hand with everyday life. When bedtime comes, I love coming up with new stories with some of my sons. When bedtime comes, okay. I love coming up... and use AI that gives me a hand with everyday life. When bedtime comes, I love coming up with new stories with some of my sons. With some of my son's favorite comes, I love coming up with new stories with some. Okay, we're making this cut right. I love coming with some of my sons. That sounds like a good place to make a cut with some, so it's going to be right here. Some of my son stories with some of my son's favorite. Perfect. We're going to do a custom fade there. Stories with some of my son's. Beautiful. Favorite characters. And using Copilot in Windows, I make sure I always have by just adding a okay. So this was good. And using Copilot in Windows, I make sure I always have one handy. By just adding a passion for dinosaurs. How long did it take me to get this one? By just adding a couple details like his passion for dinosaurs. By just adding. Okay. It took me a while to get that one. Handy. By just adding a couple details like his passion for dinosaurs, it allows me to create a unique illustrated story for us, like magic. Every night, we have a different adventure and a memory. It's like magic. Every night, we have a different adventure. Here we go. And a memory that we'll never forget. Good to go. Grab everything, hit our crossfades, turn on RxD, click. Bounce that out, and we're calling this MS Copilot. MS Copilot. Come on. All right. Get the next track ready to go. Close you down, reply to job. Hit my directed session here. I need to change the template to update this. For no additional fee. I always make it so that my quote is inclusive of a live directed session. And the client may decide at their whim whether they would like to actually do a directed session or not based on, let's see, where are we? Pro Tools bounces. We are in auditions. There we go. Now it'll remember where we are. The client may decide, whether they want to have a directed session or not based on your audition. Sometimes, if they think like, this is great just as is. Sometimes they don't even need you to do a reread. Sometimes they just want the waveform of your audition, and those are the sweet gigs. Maybe this might be fun to read, but the biggest thing to consider here is that I am only an 80% voice match. Now, I've done, I think, a pretty decent job of setting up my my samples and my metadata and everything to give myself a pretty good edge in the algorithm. But sometimes when, for example, they put announcer in the role, there's a good chance. Well, maybe they do want an old school announcer type of read. But that's not the modern trend. And so, why would I have a bunch of samples like, hey, do you want your product to sound dated? Here you go. But at any rate, 55 people in line in front of me, and I'm only an 80% voice match. I'm not going to be there. Oh, also, it's an animation category. That is probably not what they actually mean. Buy now, truewagner.com. The video might be animated, but this is not an animation product. It's an ad. Ads are different from animation. Ads can be animated. That doesn't make it an animation product. So, unfortunately, that's just a situation where some client education would be helpful. This client has, do we know how many jobs that they've posted? They've only gotten 2 reviews, so they can't have posted that many jobs. So, maybe by the time they have 20 reviews, they'll know that this product is almost certainly not going to be animation. It needs to be, commercial or whatever the correct category is. So we're going to archive this. And that's everything on voices. Let's head over to Voice123, reload the page, and take a look at what we've got. Company Sizzle. This client only reviews 2/3 of proposals that they get. They're already at 3/5 of their requested proposals. They've got an in perpetuity, and they've got they want a quote. they haven't put a rate that they're looking for. And for some reason, they put all this stuff about like their demographic that they're looking for, which includes female, but they're like, maybe we'll also. So they don't know what they want. They don't know what they can or want to pay. They don't know what kind of talent they want. All of these words, these might as well be meaningless because every single spot includes all of these words. Like, name me a spot where you don't want your voiceover to be confident, honest, authoritative, knowledgeable, educational, empathetic, or relatable. Name me a commercial, non-character spot where you don't want all of those traits. So this is for all of those reasons, we're going to decline this one. Here we go. Hillbilly redneck. Now, this is absolutely right in my wheelhouse. These people review damn near everything they get. They are really close to hitting their limit on proposals, and that is a real bummer. The character's voice draws inspiration from a hillbilly version of Malcolm Corley from Full Throttle. I don't know what that is. I don't know what a Malcolm Corley from Full Throttle is. If we decide we're going to give this a shot, we will look them up, see if we can find a YouTube example, and check it out. But let's look at the script here. See if the script feels good to read. I'm telling you, I've cracked the secret code of the universe. It's all about mixing biscuits, fishing holes, and a healthy dose of... Now, this writing is almost more like Foghorn Leghorn, like full right tan your hide, like bucking Broncos. So it's, they're really wanting wild out there. We're going to do this. We're going to go YouTube and we're going to hit, here we go. Let's see what we get. Malcolm's Murder, Full Throttle, revoiced? Let's just see here.
Put my head in a basket, 'cause I'd had a tank full. The sky's up.
No.
You've
Okay.
laughed at me in those board meetings, Malcolm.
Okay. Interesting. So that's very sort of Prospector Willie adjacent, and it's certainly the way it's written. Let's see here. I'll tell you what. Let's refresh and see if this goes from 42 to anything higher. You know what? Let's go for it. We're here to do work. Let's do some work. I'm telling you, I've cracked the secret code of the universe. I'm telling you, I've cracked the secret code of the universe. It's all about mixing biscuits, fishing holes, and a healthy dose of yodeling. I was trying to get my voice to flip up there. Yodel a little bit on the yodel line. Let's see here. How close am I to pushing my mic too hard? I think I'm all right. I'm telling you, I've cracked the secret code of the universe. It's all about mixing biscuit, fishing holes, and a healthy dose of yodeling. Hold it right there, you thieving sidewinder. You better put that rocking chair down and mosey on out of here before I tan your hide. Well, I'll be hog-tied and dipped in honey. I'd be the first one in line to see them squirrels. I'd be the first one in line to see them squirrels strutting their stuff. And don't forget about the squirrel bucking Broncos kicking up a ruckus. And so, again, I am not a scriptwriter. When you're writing in an accent, in a voice, you can't just willy-nilly throw around markers for that accent or voice. So in many, many cases, I'm from Texas, and so there's lots of times when you say bout, know what I'm talking about? That is a very natural thing when you are really deep in that accent. But you don't always do it. It depends on what comes before it. And don't forget, that would not be a place where any Texan that I know would drop the A in about. And don't forget about that. That makes it actually feels weirder. The A serves a purpose. It gives it elision. It allows you to move through the sentence more fluidly, which is what the Texas accent is all about. And don't forget about the squirrel bucking Broncos. See that? That in the about came natural. Whereas, and don't forget about the squirrel. I feel like I'm being backed up by having to stop and insert that back-to-back consonant break there. And don't forget about, it doesn't feel right. And don't forget about the squirrel. It just feels a lot better. And so this is a case where, yeah, like they're doing their best to make the text evoke the character as well as they can. But we're going to override them in this one particular spot. And maybe it'll make a difference. Maybe it won't. Maybe they are going to, on principle, say like, no, this voice talent didn't read syllable for syllable what was on the page. And that's fine. But I think as far as a natural, an authentic Texas delivery, that's not how I would deliver it. So we're going to, and don't forget about the yeah, that's where we had to back up here. Them squirrels. Yep. First one in line to see them. First one in line to see them squirrels strutting their stuff. And don't forget about the squirrel bucking. First one in line to see them squirrels strutting their stuff. And don't forget about the squirrel. First one in line to see them squirrels strutting their stuff. And don't forget about the squirrel bucking Broncos kicking up a ruckus and tossing them cowpoke squirrels high in the sky. We might even have us a squirrel rodeo clown trying to wrangle them feisty critters. It'd be a hootenanny of a time, I tell you. It'd be a hootenanny of a time, I tell you. All right. We're going to edit what we've got here, and we'll see what happens here. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. I didn't do a proper punch and roll on this, and that's a bummer. And a healthy dose of yodeling. Hold it right in, Sidewinder. You better put that rocking chair down and mosey on out of here before I tan your hide. Well, I'll be hog-tied and dipped in honey. I'd be the first one in line to see them squirrels strutting their stuff. And don't forget about the squirrel bucking Broncos kicking up a ruckus and tossing them cowpoke squirrels high in the sky. We might even have us a squirrel rodeo clown trying to wrangle them feisty critters. It'd be a hootenanny of a time, I tell you. Okay, and then I think that's it. I'm trying to wrangle them feisty critters. It'd be a hootenanny of a time, I tell you. All right. Interesting, very interesting copy. I don't know which fades could have been invalid. Oh, it just gives you pause there. Oh, we have something weird going on here. Why is that like that? Oh, something weird is going on here. Let's find out what's going on here. Oh, we've got a weird cut here. The first one in line to see them squirrels strutting their stuff. Strutting their stuff. So let's make maybe here? I'd be the first one in line to see them squirrels. And don't forget about the squirrel bucking Broncos. Okay. Very strange that I've got a cut there. The first one in line to see them their stuff. One in line to see them squirrels and their stuff. Very strange. I don't know what happened there. I must have misclicked or something. The first one in line to see them squirrels strutting their stuff. Okay, we're going to call that good. How bizarre. Okay. I got saved by the notification there that I had one crossfade that was invalid, and that let me know that it wasn't able to do a crossfade because the boundary of one of those, it was at the very start of the clip, so it didn't have anywhere to crossfade to on the other side of that clip. That is all to say that that's a clear indication that somewhere one of your edit points, there's something a little funky going on there. And that's why I really quickly did a double check, and I was able to identify that one weird spot where I just missed a funny edit point. So thankfully, we saved ourselves from looking like a fool in front of the client. So let's see. This is the what are we calling this? I mean, what are we calling this? What do you even... We're going to just call it Hillbilly Redneck. Why not? Hillbilly Redneck. All right, turn y'all off. Good, good, good. All right, and now we're going to accept the invite. We're still at 42. That's great. I'm going to hit the negotiable thing. Thankfully, I've already got my Texan copy-paste in there, so letting them know that my accent is legitimate. That's how I sound all the time. I put on a standard American accent for when I'm doing everything else, but when I'm at home, I always sound like this. There's a fun, speaking of elision and sort of when to drop or not drop, there's a fun thing that happens in certain Southern accents, particularly in the pair of words like this, where you can drop the TH of this, like yes. That's a fun one to do. We got an email. Oh, it's a Voices job. Let's head over to Voices and see how many people have already answered it. 10 people. Voices is mad. Let's see here. We've got a reference. Let's take a listen to the reference. VLC, please. Always. If this is coming through, it is.
Hope.
Hope.
It's a powerful emotion.
Okay, that's it. That's the extent of the reference. Okay. Warm and strong. Hope. Okay. We want to be quick. Hope. It's a powerful emotion. It empowers us. It empowers us. Because when hope turns into reality, there's no stopping us. There's no stopping. There's no stopping us. I'll read the whole thing again. Hope. It's a powerful emotion. It empowers us. I have a truck going on in the background. It empowers us. It empowers us. It empowers us. Because when hope turns into reality, there's no stopping. There's no stopping us. There's no stopping us. Okay. For something this short, I am going to give them two full takes. It's a powerful emotion. Oops. Let's give them the first word there. Hope. It's a powerful emotion. It empowers us. It empowers us. Because when hope turns into reality... Can we blend these? It empowers us. Nope. That sounds stupid. Do we like the first or the second? It empowers us. It empowers us. I think we're going to go with the second one, actually. Let's hear. It's a powerful emotion. It empowers us. Because when hope turns into reality, there's no stopping us. There's no stopping. Because when hope turns into reality, there's no stopping us. Hope to reality, there's no stopping us. Okay. Hope. It's a powerful stopping us. Hope. It's a powerful hope. It's a powerful emotion. All right, now we've got some truck noise here, and then I think we're back right here. It's a powerful emotion. It empowers us. Okay. It empowers us. I like that one better. Because when hope... We got another one here. It empowers us. Nope. Moving on. It's a powerful emotion. It empowers us. Because when hope turns into reality... Much better. There's no stopping us. It empowers us. Because when hope turns into reality, There's no stopping. There's no stopping us. When hope turns into reality, there's no stopping us. Little bit longer of a gap and this thing's good to go. If it turns into reality, there's no stopping us. We're going to call that good to go. Get our crossfades. No error this time. Turn on RxD click. We're going to call this, God, what are we calling this? Corporate brand film. Sure, we'll call it that. Corporate brand film. Reply to job. Hit our general thing, and we're going to put a note in here that I've given them 2 takes. Put in our quote. Select our file. Respond. We are number 15. That's how fast you have to be. We got that email while we were sitting here, and by the time we were able to Control-Tab back over to voices.com, get through the audition copy, and get it submitted, 14 other people got in line in front of us. That should give you an idea of just the crazy nature of work, specifically on voices.com. You have got to be fast. Because if you're number 50 in line, chances are you're not going to get listened to at all. And if they can't hear you, they can't hire you. But we'll see how that goes. All right, back over to Voice123, where the rapid fire nature is a little less important because of the way that they release auditions that come in. They sort of release them in waves to different groups and subgroups of talent. And so, yeah, you might be sitting there when a new Voice123 audition comes in, and so it's new to you, and you might want to, rush and be there right away, but, 2 other groups of talent might have already seen that 2 hours ago. And so that's why, we're sitting here. I haven't been just letting these things collect for forever, but there are already some projects that are over their limit for proposals. And we're going to go ahead and close all of those out because there's absolutely no reason to submit auditions for those kinds of projects. So we're closing that out. We're going to close this one out. We're going to close out, I'm sure there's something on the second page here. Yeah, way over the mark there. There we go. We're back to 1 page, which feels good. Please go back. Good old Voice123. All right, so let's take a look here. E-learning, presenter style narration, totally in our wheelhouse. This usually feels good. Let's take a look here. Fixed budget of $250 for 1,500 words. That is kind of a low budget, but, compared to audiobooks, that's a great rate. And I do a lot of audiobook work, and so I don't necessarily turn my nose up at stuff like some of these people who have full loads of e-learning work going on. So let's see here. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us for this next session. As always, if you need to refer back to previous sections of the course, you can do so by clicking the back arrow or using the main directory tab. Super simple, easy, very boilerplate. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us for this next section. That's a funny collection of syllables. Welcome, class. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us for this next section. This next section. This next section. Lots of consonant happening. Welcome, class. Welcome, class. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us for this next section. Thanks for joining us for this next section. Thanks for joining us for this next section. That's a tough. Thanks for joining us for this next section. As always, if you need to refer back to previous sections of the course, you can do so by clicking the back arrow or using the main directory tab. I'm going to reread that sentence slower. As always, if you need to refer back to previous sections of the course, you can do so. We're going to reread the whole thing at that slower pace. Typically, your e-learning and these types of things are going to be a little bit more deliberate in your pace. So we're going to do that. Welcome, class. Welcome, class. Welcome, class. I feel like class, the way I'm saying it is like it's a name. Like Jake. Welcome, Jake. we just got an email ding. We're going to check and see if it's a voices.com email, because that's how we have to work. It's not. It's a Voice123, so we don't have to interrupt ourselves. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us for this next section. Thanks for joining us for this next section. Thanks for joining us for this next section. As always, if you need to refer back to previous sections of the course, you can do so by clicking the back arrow or using the main directory tab. Okay, that feels good. We got this. I think this right here, or is it this one? Trying to edit by sight. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us for this next. Let's give ourselves a little bit of breathing room there. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us for this next section. As always, this next section, it's such a strange. The English language, it's a tough one. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us. Thanks. And we've got trucks driving by. Ooh, it is fully tourist season up here in Mid-Coast, Maine. All the New Yorkers and the Massachusetts people driving their way up Route 1, and especially the motorcycles. We got to get the organs from somewhere. Welcome, class. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us. Welcome, class. Thanks for joining us for this next section. As always, if you need to refer back to previous sections of the course, you can do so by clicking the back arrow. I think I can bridge that somewhere in there. We're not going to psych ourselves out by even listening until we need to make this edit point here, because we could be here all day trying to get this, and by the time we do, we're going to be 50th in line, and that's just silly. Section. As always, if you need to refer back to previous sections of the course, you can do so by clicking the back arrow or using the main directory tab. Okay, that's everything. And that's the whole shebang. Hit our crossfades. Turn on RX. Bounce. We're calling this, we don't know. E-learning. Welcome back. Accept invite. This is a bummer. I shouldn't have accepted this invite because I should have looked right here. Percentage of proposals reviewed. It's only 20%. This client, I don't know what they're doing. They're wasting their own time. They're wasting everybody else's time. Like, good luck to them. I hope they find the right thing. But we've already accepted it, so we need to go ahead and submit our audition and hope for the best. But that's... You don't love to see that. You don't love to see when a client requests 50 proposals. Why request 50 proposals if you're only going to listen to 20% of them? That means you're only going to listen to 10 of these proposals. So why didn't you just request 10 and listen to those? I don't understand. I just do not understand it. But we're going to submit and move on. I don't understand. All right. Let's de-arm that for now. All right. Let's see what else we've got going on here. Short voiceover for a testimonial. 0 out of 25 proposals. Most likely because it is a very low budget. $75, I think is what I saw. Yeah, $75. And it says up to $75. Let's see here. For mothers with substance abuse disorder. So, like, clearly, why would you... Is the script going to be like the son of a mother with... Oh, okay. Testimonial from the main storyteller's son. So this isn't for me. Like, this is for a much younger voice than what I have. So that's a no for me. Prod Foundation 2024. Now, let's see here. As close to a gender-neutral tone as possible. That's not me. I don't think anyone would accuse me of having a gender-neutral voice. I think my voice is pretty stereotypically masculine, if you want to define it that way. So best of luck. I really hope they find the right talent for that. Authenticity in voiceover is the number one buzzword these days. And so good on this client for seeking to hire, especially boom right here. Client would love to find a trans VO artist to narrate. Like, this client and the middle person who is posting it on behalf of their client, like, they've gotten the memo. Authenticity in voiceover is that's the way that's what the trend has been for years now, and that's the way it should be. Just imagine that you are a young trans person. Do you want to hear my voice as a cisgender, boring ass white guy? Like, no, you want to hear a voice that you can immediately sort of identify with and have some common ground with. And so it totally makes sense. And anyone who wants to complain about something like this, get a life. That's all I've got to say. Get a life. Good luck to you. Okay, angry customer scenarios. This is probably for you if you've got a problem with that last one. Let's see here. You'll be playing the part of the angry customer. Let's see here. Do I want to get in the headspace to be angry? Okay. So this is always a bummer. The looking for a quote, that lets me know that this client... And it's hard to know what to quote. We expect extensive pickups due to script changes. Please keep this in mind when providing your quote. Well, is the script going to remain 30 words? Is the script going to remain about the same thing? Is there going to be any kind of change in usage? Several years duration, no paid media, corporate training. I get it. I get all this. I really do. But the looking for a quote thing, that just makes it tough, because on voices.com, whatever, you wouldn't worry about it. You would just do the audition and make your quote, fire and forget. No worries if the client balks at your quote. On Voice123, though, even if they love your voice, but then they look at your quote and go, what? No way in hell we're paying that. Then they're not gonna like your audition, because liking auditions is how most clients on Voice123 shortlist. If they get 50 auditions in, they'll like 10 of them, and that'll be their shortlist that they then send on to their end client or what have you. So if you come in with a quote that's way too high, well, then you're not going to get liked, because they're not going to deliver that to the client, because if the client likes that one, he goes, yeah, we want that one. Oh, wait, it's way out of budget. Well, why'd you send that to me if it's way out of budget? Like, what are you doing here? I have a real problem with the way that Voice123 sets all of this up. It discourages voice talent from practicing our craft. Like, I'm not going to do this audition because they're looking for a quote. Like, that's crazy. But my position in the algorithm, as far as I know, is precarious. I climbed my way up from the bottom. Because when I first got onto Voice123, I did a lot of stupid stuff, and it really hurt me in the algorithm. And I've climbed my way back up, but I don't know how secure my footing is up near the top. And so I'm very, very hesitant to do things that might hurt me in the algorithm. And so we're declining this spot. Here we are, over the amount of requested proposals, so we're closing that out. Here we're very close. But this client reviews just about everything that they get, so maybe Knight Rider. So they want the talking car. So for my friends who are a bit older than me, Knight Rider's too old even for me. It's a 1980s show with David Hasselhoff, I think, was the guy that drove around in the Knight Rider car. Or maybe he was the Knight Rider and the car was called Kit. I don't know. But let's take a look here. So budget, $1,000. So I'm pretty sure I remember the style of the voice, but we're going to check real quick. We're going to open up a YouTube tab. And we'll do Knight Rider Kit. Knight Rider Kit. Talking, sure. Speaks for the very first time. No, let's do this one.
All right. Might as well put on some music. All these weird gadgets, you'd think they'd give you a radio.
Come on.
What would you like to hear?
What the hell was that?
Come on.
I am the voice of Night Industry 2000's microprocessor.
Okay, so we are a bit almost transatlantic. We're very Audrey Hepburn, almost, like the male counterpart to Audrey Hepburn. Hello, Michael. I am the voice of the Night Industries 2000. Kit, if you prefer. Okay, this is fun. I like this. How 21 out of 25. We'll refresh before we accept the invite. We'll do the whole audition, refresh before we hit accept, and if we're still under 25, then we will submit, because this client reviews damn near everything that they get. So, here we go. Hello, Michael. I am the voice of Night Industry. Hello, Michael. I am the voice of Night Industries 2000. Kit, if you prefer. Michael, Devon is calling. Are you ready for your next mission? On my way, Michael. That easy. Now, if we weren't on a time crunch, and we are, because we're right near the end of acceptable proposal window here, if we weren't on such a time crunch, I might sort of do a 2 takes version of this, where the second take, I put some effects on there to actually give them the robotic sort of some of the chorus, and maybe there's a tiny bit of bit crush happening there. We would have some fun if we felt like we had a little bit more time with this, but we really don't. I am also intentionally removing all the breaths. Generally, you want to keep breaths to some extent in your voiceover work, but because we are specifically voicing a robot, we're going to be a little bit more robotic by taking out all of our breaths. 2000. Kit, if you prefer. Michael, Devon is calling. Are you ready for your next mission? On my way, Michael. We're going to say that's good enough. Hit our crossfades. Turn on RX. Bounce. Kit. We're just going to call it Kit. Refresh the page. Still only 21. We're going to accept. Hit this. And we're not going to get too fancy with our message. We're just going to submit, fire, and forget. All right, let's get rid of all of these, and let's duplicate this one 11 times. I'm saving this one because it's something that we might come back to. We'll see. Turn this one off. There we go. All right, now we are back on to Bard Singer fantasy game. It's a Skyrim project. Let's go. Okay. Now I'm about to go down a rabbit hole. I wonder if this is the Skyblivion project. That would be amazing. No, that can't be. It can't be. Okay. This is interesting. This is actually, so this is a very, very niche service that this client is looking for. They're looking for some voice lines and for, it looks like, some singing. Let's see here. Get all the songs recorded. Another song reference to this casting. I want to note that neither the musician nor I are trained singers. Okay. Purpose of the recording skill. Song reference. Let's give it a listen.
A hero came down, crossed the mountains of Skyrim, master of...
So, having played my fair share of Skyrim, I get exactly what they're doing. That sounds very much like the, the bards in the taverns that you go through, and they're singing, whatever it is that they're singing. The Lusty Argonian Maid. No, that's a book, I think. Maybe it's also a tune. So for all my Skyrim heads out there, that's very fun. Let's take a look here. So we've got the Bard's College. Okay. So interesting. Is that all that we're given? So they're wanting us for this audition to actually do the sync. Wow. This could be a fun project to go ahead and do live on the stream. We're gonna hold on to it for now. We're gonna get through the regular voiceover stuff, and we're gonna come back to this because, God, there's a lot here. Basically, the idea would be I would import the audio that they've provided. And it's great that they provided, it looks like a version with that guide vocal on there. And they've got a version here, instrumental.wave, so without the guide vocal. So basically, I would import probably just the instrumental, but I would listen to the one with the guide vocal long enough until I for sure had the melody, da 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 da, whatever it is. And once I was for sure about the melody, I would have the lyrics up over here, just like it was voiceover copy, and I would basically hit record and be able to hear the guide music under me and sing it just like I would if I was producing, music, which is something I do anyway. So this is a very, very unique project that you usually won't see on Voices or Voice123. This is kind of something that you would tend to see on maybe Fiverr or Upwork, and maybe they tried those places and they found that, like, hey, clearly we want something a little bit higher tiered. Not that there aren't talented producers over on Fiverr and Upwork, but the barrier to entry that exists on both Voices and Voice123, it definitely will separate a lot of the chaff from the wheat. So this will be an interesting one to do, and we will come back to it, and you'll get to see that whole process of how I do it. We're gonna try new things on the stream today. So let's take a look here. General Stonewall Jackson and John Gorman. Let's see here. Should be natural, not too cartoonish. Wanted to do my foghorn leghorn. Okay, so only honored $5 for. Granted, it's really short. Our reinforcements arrived and charged upon the enemy, checking his advance, then driving him back with great slaughter. You know what this is? Let's see here. Do we have a description of their voices? No, we don't. So John C. Gorman and his fellow soldiers anxiously wait in a sunken road behind a wooden zigzag fence. Da-da-da-da. Okay, so clearly in this situation, John C. Gorman is going to be a younger person. He's a soldier who's setting up an ambush. So him being a rank-and-file soldier, he's going to be young, and any general is typically going to be much older. So I'm not sure exactly how old Stonewall Jackson was during the Battle of Antietam, but these are just real quick, like, characterization calls that you can make on the fly here. We've got 27 out of 50 proposals. This client reviews everything, and they've posted a billion projects. So we feel really, really confident that at the very least we're gonna get listened to. So we're gonna do this one. Arm the track. Let's go. Our reinforcements arrived and charged upon the enemy, checking his advance, then driving him back with. Our reinforcements arrived and charged upon the enemy, checking his advance, then driving him back with great slaughter. I've got Ken Burns in my head, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's also what the client had in their head, and so that's sort of just what is naturally coming out of me, and so I don't want to stifle that. That's my instinct, and without any further direction, it's okay to go with that. So let's see here. Our reinforcements arrived and charged upon the enemy, checking his advance, then driving him back with great slaughter. Slowly they approached up the hill. Here they are, right before us, scarce 50 yards off. They drop, reel, staggered, and let's think about John Gorman here. How Southern are we? Because just then I was reading it basically not Southern at all, but I feel like we want to be a little bit Southern here. Looks like maybe we'll put the cut here. I'll double check that. But let's see here. Let's double check that we're good here. Our reinforcements arrived and charged upon the enemy, checking his advance, then driving him back with great slaughter. Good. I'm happy with that. Back with great slaughter. Slowly they approach up the hill. Here they are, right before us, scarce 50 yards off. They drop, reel, stagger, and back they go. Our men reload and await for them to again approach. Here they all come. Okay. If this was something that we booked, we would probably spend a whole lot more time, perfecting, and I would also give the client a few different options. That's not necessarily something that you have to do, but especially on a shorter script, I like to give 2 to 3 full reads. Hold on, we're gonna shoot that out. Make that inactive. Yeah, on a shorter project, I like to give 2 or 3 full reads just to give the client some options when it comes time to edit. And usually those reads are not going to be dramatically different. If anything, what I will often do is just give my read sort of similar to the audition that booked me the job. Obviously, they liked the audition, so the booked read should be similar to it. But I will also give that same read a little bit faster and a little bit slower. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes when they're editing, it's like, oh man, this shot, it wasn't as long as we thought it was. And so we need a tighter read on that one little line there. And boom, I give them 3 takes. And so they've got it. And they'll be grateful for it. They'll love you for it. Here, we're not gonna fuss. We're just gonna send that off. Let's see here. Do we have any voices.com? We've got a Silly Vanguard thing, and then we've got a Voice123 notice. So nothing that's extremely time sensitive. Nana, what do we got? A Central American accent is preferred. Guatemala is a plus. Very cool. Very nice that they are looking for specific talent. To be frank, this budget, if you're looking for something that specific, you got to pay. You got to pay extra. It's unfortunate. Like, yeah. So we're gonna close that out because that's not us. More stuff from the same client here. This one, geez, the budget's only 70. It must be even shorter. We're not gonna also post for this. We're not gonna push our luck, even though there's only 2 out of 50 here. Wow. We're not gonna push our luck because if this client, it's the same client as the one that we just read. If this client likes us for the one, if they like our voice for the one, there's no reason to submit for both. The copy here is so similar that, if they hear it, they'll go like, oh, you know what? Like, maybe that voice isn't perfect for Stonewall Jackson, but they're great for George Bronson, and they'll sort of cross-hire me. There's no need to submit for both jobs in this particular case, especially when you're on Voice123 and your spot in the algorithm is on the line. So we're not going to submit for that one. Let's see here. We've got one looking for a quote. This person hardly reviews any proposals. Yeah, I'm just not interested. Not interested. Here we've got documentary short. They review lots of proposals. They know how much they want to pay. They're looking for someone to voice over for the protagonist of our short film. Dan was well-read, charming, passionate about film, and had a good sense of humor. He grew up in the Bronx during the Depression. The protagonist didn't have a strong New York accent. I don't have a great New York accent in me. Any New York accent that I do would be very much something that would get my ass kicked in the boroughs. So it's not something that I would actually do if it did call for a strong New York accent. Hello, my name is Dan Talbot. This is my lovely wife, Toby, and I. Let me begin our story. Okay. Let's see here. Man, Dan Talbot is a real person. There may be an interview that exists of this person, and so you might actually be able to find a voice reference. In fact, just as an exercise, we're going to show how I would go about doing that. This is more, so yeah, you'll do this for documentaries. You'll do this for typically for audiobooks, anything that's a nonfiction, a biography, a memoir. You'll have real people who you're having to voice. And so it's helpful sometimes to be able to find recordings of that person. So let's take a look here. Let's go to YouTube, and we're going to put in quotes. Come on now. Daniel Talbot. We're gonna try Dan. I don't know if Daniel and Dan Talbot are the same people. I'm going to say that that's not who this is. I'm going to say Dan Talbot, this guy is a country singer. He's singing In Color. Man, that's a good song. It's a Jamie Johnson song, if I'm not mistaken. So we don't have any immediate, obvious recordings of Dan Talbot, the subject of this documentary. And that's okay. But we are going to skip this one because when I get to read this line, there's no way that I, with my Texas upbringing, can convincingly read the line, Toby and I grew up in the Bronx during the Depression. Is that believable? In the Bronx. I can't do it. So we're not going to not do it. I love New York. I've been there plenty of times. It's a beautiful, lovely town. Anyone who's scared of New York probably hasn't been there. And it's great. But I'm going to be respectful of my New York brethren and sistren and non-binary-ren and not do this particular job because I want to be welcomed next time I go back to New York. Before we come back to the Bard Singer, we are going to check over on ACX. This is where we get our audiobooks here. We're going to reload here. Are these ones? Yeah, these are ones that we've submitted. Let's look at Find Projects. We got to open up here and deselect, not genre, gender, male. Okay, let's take a look here. We've already done this one. Let's look at this one. Did we already look at this? Maybe we started this one. Yeah, we started this one. And we decided not to go for it. There were some, or maybe that's this here. Oh, this one. The author wanted a super, super, super long audition read. They just included pages and pages of copy. So let's go ahead and do it real quick. Let's take a look at what we've got and decide where we want to make that cut. I think that'll be valuable to see where and why you want to cut off an audition. The author, we'll just download it again. Look at this, just pages and pages of copy. For an audiobook audition, the standard is 3 to 5 minutes. That's way longer than the typical commercial voiceover limit, which is usually 50 to 60 seconds. Basically, if for a commercial read, usually 50 to 60 seconds, that's longer than most commercials. So giving them a longer read makes no sense. For an audiobook, it does make sense to give a longer read because you're going to be reading their work for hours and hours and hours. And so it does make sense. Also, audiobooks, just by dint of their length, are going to convey much greater breadth and depth of emotion. Lots of different characters are coming into play, and you're voicing every single one of them. Whereas typically in a commercial or animation or whatever, you're going to have several other people that you're playing off of if you've got multiple characters. And so it makes sense that you need a longer audition. But there's a limit, and we're people too, that we've got opportunity costs and everything else involved, and so the sort of settled upon, agreed upon sort of industry standard has become 3 to 5 minutes. And that gives you plenty of time to cut down up to 3 scenes that have a variety of characters and display a variety of emotional contexts. And so you should be able, as a rights holder or an author, you should be able to pare down what you've got to where you're still getting a lot of value. You're getting what you need to get out of your narrators to make an informed decision, but you're also being respectful of the narrator's time. So let's figure out where we want to cut. Let's see, where did we get to is the question here. Let's go ahead and blow this one up. And we are boys' feelings all too well. Well, son, what would you like to be called? Well, son, what would you like to be called? Okay. We're going to see, the problem is this first scene is so long. And it does have some good emotion, some good things going on in it. But these other 2 scenes like immediately get way different. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little bit of a jerk move here. I'm only going to read the first scene. So we'll finish the first scene. I think we stopped a few lines short of that first scene, the end of the first scene. So we're going to finish the first scene. And we're going to deliver just that. And if the author really likes what I read in the first scene, they will let me know, and they will request that. I was like, oh, but I noticed you didn't do the other 2. Maybe that'll piss them off, and they'll be like, forget you. But I've been hired off of doing this exact thing. I've been hired for a long-running series of very, very well-paying audiobooks when I shortchanged the author based on what they submitted, and I just submitted what I wanted to. But my read was exactly what the author wanted, even though they didn't hear everything they wanted to hear, because frankly, they just put too long of an audition script up. And so I was like, I'm not going to read all that, but I'll give you a good read of what I think you should get. And the author agreed with me and hired me. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm hoping, in this case, I'm hoping that the author likes what I do in scene 1. And if they come back and they say, I really like you and I want to hire you, but first I really want to hear scenes 2 and 3. In that case, I know that it's so close. It's almost there. It's almost mine. Yes, I will go ahead and read the longer version of the audition script. But out of the blue, not going to do it. So let's find out where we are in the script here. Dead? He asked with another sniffle. We're going to back up to this line here because it looks like, again, we've got some traffic noise. So we'll back up to here. Don't think I want to be Jibby anymore. With his nose stuffy from crying, Jimmy pronounced his name Jibby. Howard nodded. We'll start at Howard nodded. So where are we here? Here we are. Howard nodded. Let's highlight that so I don't miss it. Oh, let's arm the track. Hello. Jimmy pronounced his name Jibby. Howard nodded, understanding the boy's feelings all too well. Well, son, what would you like to be called? Can I be James instead? He asked with another sniffle. I think we can do that, Howard replied reassuringly. Thank you, Uncle. Good night. Good night, James. Sleep well, he said, and turned out the light. I'm just across the hall if you need me. In his room, Doris smiled back at Howard from her picture. I'm just across the hall if you need me. In his room, Doris smiled back at Howard from her picture frame. She looked happy, he thought, before he turned out his lamp. Love you, Darce, he whispered. Okay, that sounds all right to me. And that is the end of scene 1, and that is well over 4 minutes, so it's longer than... It's right in the range. And again, we did punch and roll recording for this one, so we don't have to listen to what we narrated. We can just hit our tab hotkey, make our edits, and just zoom through this. It is just the fastest, easiest process. If you are considering getting... We are going to have to listen to this because there's a weird, like, what is this little noise here? Let's listen to it. I was too dumb. That's fine. A noise like you will if you do this for long enough, you will start to recognize in your own voice certain sounds. This is another spot I'm going to listen to because, so right here, this, I know from looking at it, this is a breath. Anything to the right, this is newer narration. So I punched and rolled, I recorded over. This is the old take. This is the new take. The new take has a breath in this spot right here. The old take, I didn't breathe there. So generally you want to make the same decision so that when you are choosing where to put your edit point, you're sort of editing like for like. So beginning of a breath to beginning of a breath. Here, though, I was bad, and I didn't put a breath. I didn't do the same thing. I put a breath where prior there had not been a breath. So I have to make a decision. Do I want to make this cut sort of like this to where I'm picking it up there? Let's listen to it, and maybe we don't need further explanation.
Not the mistakes that we make, but rather what
Nope,
we...
that sounds terrible. Let's listen to that again.
Not the mistakes that we make, but rather what we do.
I hate that. I don't know about you, but I hate that. So what we're going to do, we can't drag further to the left. I'm moving my mouse to the left. Oh boy, that was a mess. What have we done? So I can't drag this clip further to the left. There's nothing there. That's just where the recording began. So that's my furthest back in time on this new clip. But I can go forward in time. So that means there's going to be no breath. And I'm actually going to try a cut. This next syllable here, whatever this is, you typically want to put a cut in a quiet point. So after this plosive or whatever hard consonant this looks like it probably is, I'm going to put the cut right there in that valley. And then I'm going to put this cut right there in that valley. And we're going to listen to it again.
Mistakes that we make, but rather what we do to correct them.
Absolutely seamless, cannot tell. We will go ahead and do a custom crossfade. Our default automatic crossfade would absolutely handle it just fine, but just for fun, we're doing a custom. Let's listen to it again.
Is not the mistakes that we make, but rather what we do.
Absolutely seamless, sounds great. Moving along. That edit, took a long while because we're sort of talking our way through it, but when I'm in the flow, when I'm actually editing real audiobook work, that kind of edit, like I spot it right away. I quickly recognize like, oh, I did a breath there where prior I hadn't. Like, oh, well, I quickly am able to make that adjustment and move on. And that's what audiobook editing is all about. Let's see. This is A Song That Never Ends. A song that never ends. There we go. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends. So we're going to paste in a generic, and then we're going to edit it. We're going to turn these off. Upload file, song that never ends. Loved this excerpt and the connection between these characters. Would love to read more. Military veteran. I think I saw in the bio, I think that this, maybe the author is, or I think there's a veteran connection. So I'm not just saying this out of the blue, though I often do. I'm not just bringing the veteran connection out of the blue. It's helpful if you are able to notice something about the author themselves or the rights holder, or just a tie-in specifically to the story. The example that I'll use is say you are a mother of 5 and it's a book where like it really ties into that, or maybe that's the background of the author is sort of a shared thread there. You can absolutely bring that in and weave that into your response here because it matters. That is real life experience. That is a unique part of who you are that you bring to the table, and that has value. It absolutely does. So whatever it is about you that's unique, especially if you can tie it in and make a connection, just all of these little things can work in your favor and help you book some more work. So I'm saying I'm a military It's kind of a sloppy, just putting a comma and there, but we're going to eliminate this part. That's usually for off ACX stuff. All right, that looks good to us. We're going to hit submit. And that is, if I am not mistaken, ACX done for the day. Yep, we are done on ACX. Let's double check voices and Voice123. All right. We are ready to have some fun. Are we ready to sing? Okay, this is going to be fun. So, first thing we need to do, I'm on Pro Tools, and Pro Tools, oh boy, Pro Tools is somehow the industry standard in a lot of places for working with music. Whether you're recording music or scoring films or whatever, Pro Tools that's where a lot of it gets done. It's not quite as dominant as it used to be. Now there are plenty of big time albums being cut on Logic and other platforms, but Pro Tools still, a lot of the big albums that come out every year are cut on Pro Tools. But there's a lot of issues with Pro Tools. One annoying thing is that Pro Tools cannot import an MP3. It can export one, but it can't import one. Imagine being able to export something that you can't import. Absolutely crazy. When you try to import one, it says, oh, you don't have the QuickTime plugin, implying that if you did, you could import it. I have tried on 10 different computers, both Mac and PC. I have tried for over a decade to get whatever mystical QuickTime plugin they might be referring to get Pro Tools to import an MP3, and I have never been able to have it work. If someone out there has been able to make it work, please let me know. Give me a step-by-step walkthrough. I'm sure there's someone on Reddit who has walked you through it, but I haven't gotten that. So what we have to do instead, we could run this through a converter. We could do all kinds of craziness. What we're going to do is actually something super, super lo-fi, low-tech. We're gonna do what we do when we want to scrape something. So we're actually going to do a new channel, a stereo channel, and I'm doing this on the fly, and I'm hoping that it works. So I've created this this new audio channel here, and I'm off screen, but I'm basically changing the input of this audio channel to what's known as a loopback. And that basically means it's just taking what is running through my system and pretending that that's an input like a microphone, and it's going to be able to record that. So we're going to do it with just the instrumental. Oh wait, you know what? That instrument, how convenient. We might still do the loopback way just so I can show off this valuable thing that you can do. The reference track is an MP3, but the instrumental is a wave, so I can naturally and natively bring that into Pro Tools. So that's very cool. But just for fun, we're going to see if the loopback works first try. So, hello? It is going to work. Cool. So we're going to go back here. We're going to hit record. Then we're going to hit play on this. Now the bummer with this, in fact, we're going to stop it, because the bummer with doing it like that is that you have to listen. You have to sit there and listen to the whole thing. So you can see here that it works. It works fine and it sounds great. The bummer is that you have to sit there and wait for it to scrape the entire thing. So, given that we actually have the wave available, we're going to save just a little bit of time here. Yes, you're scanning for viruses. Very good. We're going to save a little bit of time here by downloading it and then importing it directly, and then we'll be good to go there. So we're actually going to use Pro Tools import dialog here. You just import audio. Here we go. And we're going to go to downloads, Bard's College instrumental. Done. And I believe that will have imported into the clip library. Please show me the clip list. There it is. Is this it? Where are we? We may have just gotten something that we don't know. Was that thing called Bard's College something or other? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Pro Tools. Foiled again by Pro Tools. Let's try importing it again. Go back to downloads. Good old. There we go. Add. Done. Now we're going to put it into the clip list because we know where we want to drag it. Now we see it. We're dragging it to audio 1 and there it is. So now, God, they really put the whole thing on here. So obviously there are like 500 verses to this where just like, just like with, voiceover, like regular voiceover jobs, we're not gonna do the whole thing. We're gonna give them a couple verses. They should be able to know pretty quickly, like, okay, is this guy the right voice for us? A useless email, great. So what we need to do now is we need to listen to this a couple times and get the melody in our heads.
Our hero came down across the mountains of Skyrim. The master of song writ their tale upon string. Victor of verse, who found the poems of the bards, burned an effigy, tyranny's king. At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment, though the Stoic saw this conservator proud.
Okay. So, not everybody can be a songwriter, and that's okay. Love you guys. I love you. Let's see here. A hero came down. So what we're going to do, and this is very, very common in recording situations where you think, I remember when I was little and I saw like the first time I saw behind the scenes of a singer like in the studio, like a major singer. In fact, I remember who it was. It was Enrique Iglesias. I don't know why. Maybe it was just on probably VH1 or something like that. But I was stunned to discover at 8 or 9 years old. I was stunned to discover, you mean they don't record the whole song like through from start to finish when they're cutting an album? Like, and I thought like that's cheating. Like just to do one line at a time, like over and over and over again. I thought that's cheating. That's fine if you want to have that view, but that's how every album for the last 40 years or so has been made. With the exception of like maybe the Misfits and the Ramones, who you just pressed play and record. But for modern recording, that's the way you do it there. You record it line by line. And so that's what we're going to do here. We're basically going to separate this into each stanza. And it looks like the reason they've got it alternating colors here is because this is verse, 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 verse. There is no chorus in this song. It's just verse, verse, verse. So what we're going to do is we're going to give them a verse. That's all they're going to get. So I'm going to basically play through this stanza over and over and over again until I feel good about singing it. And then we'll go. So let's listen to it again.
Our hero came down across the mountains of Skyrim. The master of song writ their tale upon string.
So having, whether you're being a trained singer is great. I am not the greatest singer, but I have a great depth of background in music theory, and I know how chords work and chords progressions, and so that makes me acquiring a melody like this pretty fast. And so let's hear what this sounds like in my ears, because unlike all this commercial voiceover stuff where it's just your voice, you're not having to match anything in time or in pitch. Here I have to match both pitch and time. So let's hear what it sounds like in my own ears. Okay. So another issue here is that there's no count off. There's no like 1, 2, 3, 4, da da. There's nothing. And so I could set up my own count off. Like it'd be easy to find where the beat's falling and all that stuff. But this is not a music production or songwriting stream. This is a voiceover stream, but this is a strange and interesting gig that came over a voiceover website. So we're gonna do this by sight. I'm gonna look, and as the playhead moves, I'll take a breath and come in right there. So let's listen once again to make sure that we've got the melody.
A hero came down across the mountains of Skyrim. The master of song with their tail upon string.
Okay, so we're gonna do just that part. And here we're gonna back off my microphone gain just a little bit here. Y'all get ready to hear me sing now. A hero came down across the mountains of Skyrim. The master of song writ their tale upon string. Let's see here. And I don't have an easy way to organize takes, so for now, we're going to change modes so that we can just do that. There's not as much of a breath as I would expect between the two lines, so taking that into account, we'll go. A hero came down across the mountains of Skyrim. The master of song writ their tale upon string. We're going to give them even more vibrato. I think that's appropriate here. A hero came down across the mountains of Skyrim. The master of song writ their tale upon string. So let's listen back. A hero came down across the mountains of Skyrim. Let's hear the first one in context. A hero came down across the mountains of Skyrim. The master of song. Yeah, I like the first part of this take, but I came in too late on the second part, so we're gonna try it again. A hero came down. A hero came down across the mountains of Skyrim. The master of song writ their tale upon string. I don't like how short I made strings, so we're actually going to do a fun punch here. Master of song writ their tale upon string. Okay. And we're going to set our playhead right about here. And now let's learn the next couple of lines here.
Victor of verse, who found the poems of the bards, burned and
Victor of verse, who found the poems. So, prosody is a term for writing music. If you're going to write music for voice, it's important to write music sort of that follows normal speech patterns for the language that you're writing in, which is why sometimes if any bilingual people out there will know that, like, hey, if a person who didn't speak German, if they tried to write a song in the German language, like, there would probably be lots of things that sound kind of funky. And the same thing can happen if you are monolingual and you're writing in your own language if you don't have a lot of experience writing. So this is a case where this line, who found the poems of the bards, there probably is a way where you could construct the melody and the rhythm to where that sounded natural. But as it is, this is going to be tough because it ain't. currently. But let's listen to it a couple more times and try to get this. Come back to about 16.
Found the poem, master of victor of verse, who found the poems of the bards, burned an effigy, tyranny's king.
Okay, interesting. The way that they're changing these cadences is interesting. So let's listen here. Come on now. String. Victor of verse, who found the poems of the bards, burning effigy, tyranny's king. What's that second line again?
Victor of verse, who found the poems of the bards, burned an effigy, tyranny's king.
Okay. Let's try it. String. Victor of verse. String. Victor of verse, who found. So I need to be able to hear this a little better in my own earballs. So we're turning that up there. String. Victory. Having to count off is rough. Victor of verse, who found the poems of the bards, burned in effigy. So I feel confident that I'm going to be able to make this cut here. Burned in effigy. I found the poems of the bards, burned in effigy, tyranny's king. Who found the poems of the bards, burned in effigy, tyranny's king. Who found the poems of the bards, burned in effigy, tyranny's king. Who found the poems of the bards, burned in effigy, tyranny's king. Okay. We're not going to listen back because we'll be here all day if we're trying to sing this according to my own style and standards. So we're going to hit play.
At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment. Lo, the Stoic saw this conservator proud. They strode off the ground.
Yeah, this might be a case where, hopefully you would get in a little bit earlier and you would sort of act as a consultant, a music consultant. I've written plenty of music like this, and there are just certain things that sound, they're gestures in the direction of authenticity and historical accuracy and everything, and then there are things that are just like that are a little obtuse and a little bit tough. So that's kind of where we are with this melody here. Again, I don't mean to disparage. It really seems like we have someone with not a ton of song and music writing experience, and that is fine. They're the ones paying. It's my job just to deliver, but hopefully some collaboration would be going on to where we, through partnership, we come to a better end product. But let's take a look here. Let's listen to that again. We're starting about right here.
Tyranny's king. At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment. Lo, the Stoic saw this conservator proud.
Okay, we're gonna have to do this one line at a time.
They
Let's hear that again. This is wild.
burned an effigy, tyranny's king. At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw this.
Okay. We're going to record this portion. Let's have the words up on screen. King. At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment. King. At feast, King. At feast the hero, King. At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment. I just can't hear it very well, unfortunately. Let's do the ear trick. King. Actually, this is why. Usually when I'm singing, I'm actually, for some reason, my pitch is better if my left ear is in, and then I do the ear trick here. So let's try that. King. At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment. King. At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment. Lo, this. Okay, that's a good edit point there. Let's go back and listen to the sample.
At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw this conservator proud.
Lo, the Stoics saw his conservator proud. Let's hear it again.
Tyranny's king. At feast the hero stood, viewing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw this conservator proud.
Okay, I think we've got it. Let's try it from here. Doing the merriment, lo, oh, that's a quick breath. Doing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw, Stoics. Doing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw his conservator proud. There's a weird note there. Lo, the Stoics saw, doing. Let's hear it. Just doing the merriment, lo. Doing the merriment, doing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw this conservator proud. Got it. Doing the merriment, lo, doing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw this doing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw this conservator proud. Truck driving by. Let it finish. Let it finish. Doing the merriment. Doing the merriment. Lo, this. We've got a dropped. That's what it is. It's like a measure of 7. There's a dropped note there. Oof. Doing the merriment. Lo, the Stoics saw this conservative. Doing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw this conservator proud. Doing the merriment, lo, the Stoics saw this conservator proud. Okay, we're gonna call that good enough. Just like with voiceover, with audio, you can spend all kind of time. Now, usually I edit in shuffle mode. Anytime I'm doing voiceover, that means if I drag the front of this clip, all the remaining clips are going to shift by that same amount. But because this needs to line up with music, I can't have that. So the hotkey for that in Pro Tools, by the way, is just tilde. That's how you change through the different shift modes there. So we're gonna stick on slip mode. And we're going to leave our opening breath, and we're going to listen to this. It's going to be brutal to listen to, solo voice with no effects, but we're going to do it. A hero came down, crossed the mountains of Skyrim. The master of song writ their tale upon string. Victor of verse, who found the poems of the bards burned in it. That sounded funny because of found the poems of the bards. Oh man, this is tough. What if we do a crossfade here? Victor of verse, who found the poems of the bards burned in effigy. And again, this would be such an easy edit point if we were in shuffle mode. So easy, but we cannot shift things in time because of, let's see, I think actually like right there. That might be a good spot. Who found the poems of the bards burned in effigy, tyranny's king. Okay, that feels okay. Delete that. Do we have a... I still have my room tone on the clipboard. We're just going to drag that over there. Okay. King. At feast the hero stood, viewing the merry men. Lo, the Stoics saw this conservative. This is a little rough. Viewing the merry men. Lo, the Stoics saw this conservator proud. We're going to call that good enough. Now, let's look back at the posting here. Go ahead and turn my mic back up so that hopefully y'all can hear me a little bit better here. Now, and I'll switch back around. You'll find all that. Please send recordings unprocessed. So, in this industry, the voiceover industry in general, audiobooks, all that, a lot of times people will ask for things unprocessed. And depending on who's asking, that can mean different things. If I'm providing I play a lot of instruments. Mandolin is one that I get hired for a fair amount. If I'm providing a mandolin track for a producer somewhere, and they want it unprocessed, I damn sure deliver it completely unprocessed. For audiobooks, if they want it unprocessed, I will probably send it to them uncompressed, but I'm damn sure running it through RX10 to get rid of all my mouth clicks, and I'm most likely also going to put some very, very minor EQ on it. But that will include a high pass. And you can say, oh, but that's processing, that's destroying stuff. Well, many microphones have a high-pass switch on them. So one could argue that having your high-pass switch on, which you probably should for voiceover, having your high-pass switch on is, some kind of processing. It's the same thing, just happening later in the chain and happening digitally, and it's going to be fine. But it'll save everybody a lot of trouble if that's been high-passed, rather than maybe the later engineer assumes that you high-passed your stuff and doesn't, and a little bit of mud gets introduced into the mix. Whatever, you never know. But in this case, I'm not going to send it completely uncompressed or unprocessed, even though that's what they are asking for. They're asking for unprocessed. I'm going to send it very lightly processed. So my normal channel chain here is I get two layers of compression and then a layer of limiting, just sort of like a final mastering limiter. But the two layers of compression, I use just the stock channel strip that's built into Pro Tools, and that also has EQ built into it. So there's also some slight shaping going on. So I'll show you my first round of compression we've got here. So in fact, I can just talk into it, and you can sort of see it at work here. So I'm not pushing this compressor hard at all. You can see that it barely, I have to really kind of hit a word for it to punch through. And I've got my high-pass filter here. That's where you can see all of those low frequencies are getting cut out. However, I put a nice little bump right at 100 because I find that my voice, for the kinds of jobs that I'm doing, it helps the clients sort of get the Sam Elliott picture in their head if there's just a little bump at 100. Likewise, the very, very, very high frequencies, cut those because nothing useful is up there for voiceover for these situations. So I'm actually, I have bypassed my other layer of channel strip, and I've bypassed the limiter. I'm going to say that this is unprocessed enough that these folks aren't going to be able to tell. So I'm going to grab this. We are going to bounce this out. We're going to call this just Bard Singer. Singer of Skyrim. Sure. There we go. So that's out. We're gonna refresh. We could tell that other people were in that document. So one person got in line in front of us. So we're gonna go ahead. We are gonna make some changes to our proposal. We're just gonna sort of like try to develop some nerd street cred with this person here. First, I thought, and this is true, I'm not lying, because the proof is on the live stream. At first, I thought this might be the Sky Oblivion project, but I'm pretty sure they've had voice and music squared away for years. Anyway, I'm a veteran. I do a lot of music production outside of voice work, and would love to talk about more extensive involvement with music of this project, if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, just providing my voice would be terrific. And then delete this last one. And we'll actually just leave that as is. Let's see here. We're going to hit, well, you know what? We're going to go to veteranaudio.com. Because on my website, I've got, where is it? Oh, funny my website looks when it's like this. So I've got stuff on here. So like, for example, for this client, if they were to check it out, like that's exactly the kind of thing that they've written, and that's the kind of thing that sort of goes along with that. So, do I want to link them to the SoundCloud? Because that will show them directly all the music. Do I want to link them directly to this particular track on SoundCloud? Do I want to link them just to my website? I think I'll send them to SoundCloud. Usually that feels really unprofessional. Like SoundCloud is it's not a joke, but it can kind of feel like a joke a little bit. No offense to my rappers out there, but SoundCloud, like, it just has this patina of illegitimacy about it, and that's not really fair. I pay for a premium SoundCloud account, in fact, but obviously, when possible, I prefer to send people to my website. However, for this particular client, look how far they have to scroll to get to what they are actually wanting from me. So usually for voiceover, that's what my website is built around. My website is built for voiceover. And so first thing you see is my email. Easy. Like, yes, I can book you right away. It's clickable. It's plain text. It's so easy to click. and then just the tiniest one little scroll, and then you immediately start to see the voice demos. You can click them, they play right there embedded. Then I've got some self-promotion, but this lets you know, hey, look at all these audiobooks. This guy's busy. This guy does a lot of audiobooks. And it also helps that clearly a lot of these are in the same series. Now, if you only have one series to show, then maybe that's not so great. But clearly, I'm worth booking again. Clearly, at least one author has liked me enough that he has booked me multiple times. I actually have multiple series on here. This here, Mark Shakin, he's hired me for several books. And so just those are things to keep in mind. So this is all self-promotion. So this particular client would have to scroll all the way down past my landing page with the email, past my voice demos, past all of these audiobook things, and then finally get here. And maybe, oops, they scroll too far and they can't find anything. So this is a place where I'm going to send them to SoundCloud. And this is the one that shows right away. Was that, let's see, was that a coincidence? Let's make sure that we've got the right link here. And we're going to actually do the trick of opening up a new tab and pressing copy paste to make sure that's exactly what this person's going to get. That's exactly what I want. So I'm going to, for reference, here's a track that might fit in the Skyrim world. And there's plenty more if you're keen to check it out. There we go. We'll make that its own paragraph. There we go. This is a whole lot to send, and honestly, even just for $500, like that's not life-changing money or anything. But I'm just interested, like how fun would it be to be in on a cool Skyrim project? Like if this is Sky Oblivion, I want to be a part of that. Like, so nerd talk here. Sky Oblivion. So Skyrim is the 5th mainline game in the Elder Scrolls series. Oblivion is the 4th game. Skyrim's already been out for like 13 years now. And Oblivion obviously is older than that. But there's been this project that's been running for like 4 or 5 years to basically take all of the story, characters, and mechanics of the Oblivion game and build that into the Skyrim engine. Because the Oblivion game was on a much older engine. The Skyrim engine is, well, now it's old, but at the time it was very groundbreaking and it felt great and everything. So it's this project that's been years and years. All of these people have been working on this project, and so if this is Sky Oblivion, count me in. I want to be a part of like this is like the Great Wall of China for independently fans coming together to make an enormous, just a huge undertaking for a game. I can't think of a fan initiative game project that is bigger. I really cannot. And so, end of dorking out. I would love to be a part of this project, but since I have fired it off, I'm now going to forget about it. What do we got here? Timberline. I know that we're over time, but there's still auditions here. Let's see if we've got anything on voices. We've got an invoice for heating oil. My friends, I live in Maine. Heating oil ain't cheap. So that's why we're putting in the extra time today, so that we can pay for that heating oil. I got a 250-gallon tank, and to fill that thing up, so it's over $1,000 usually. I guess it depends on just how empty it is when they fill it up, but it's about $1,000, and especially during the colder months, you really can just go through that let's take a look here. Looking for a well-seasoned VO for this read. Mature, deep storytelling like. In total, about 8 to 9 seconds. Let's see here. All right. I love these kinds of reads right here. We're actually going to do this. We're going to do this quickly here. Make sure our settings are where they need to be after doing all the singing. Here we go. Farming is more than just a job. It's a foundation. Agriculture in a different kind of field. Agriculture in a different kind of field. Timberline. Farming is more than just a job. It's a foundation. Agriculture in a different kind of field. Timberline. Okay. We're not going to give 2 reads because I don't think that they're wanting to... Oops. I'm still on slip mode, so we're going to hit the tilde key 3 times and get back to slip mode. I don't think that they want to hear something different. I think they know what they want to hear. They expressed it pretty clearly. Let's see where we are. Farming is... Yep, that's where we're going to start. Right there. Paste in our silence at the beginning. Farming is more than just a job. It's a foundation. Agriculture in a different kind of field. Job. It's a foundation. Agriculture in a different kind of field. Agriculture in a different kind of field. Let's reread that. Agriculture in a different kind of field. Agriculture in a different kind of field. Okay, cut that in. Foundation. Agriculture in a different kind of field. Timberline. Give a big gap. Different kind of field. Timberline. Maybe we need to paste here. In a different kind of field. Timberline. Okay. That sounds good enough to me. Turn on D-click. Bounce. Timberline. Timberline. Accept the invite. Hit that. Drop it in. See how fast we're moving? We're all over the place. All this stuff, delete. We're going to paste in our generic. Actually, you know what? No, we're going to paste in our Texas one. There's only a couple words different there, but maybe they don't want the Texas, accent on there. Obviously, I can take it off, but it just felt kind of right. I felt an implied Sam Elliott about that. Kids educational. Oh, it's an audiobook. It's under an hour, and they are... That is a no for me, dog. Reason to decline, budget disagreement. Usually when I decline jobs, I don't put a reason. I just hit the X in the main window here. But when something is way out of whack, I'll make sure that Voice123 sees, hey, it happens a lot with audiobooks in particular. They just need to do some client education because their audiobook quotes are generally way out of whack on Voice123 and a bit on Voices as well. It's rare that I see jobs worth doing. So there we go. We did a whole bunch of auditions today. We did a very fun and interesting one where we were doing some singing. How about that? It's not the first time I've done singing in this space, but that was fun. That was a cool and a fun challenge, and it was fun to do live on the stream and sort of try some different things. It was definitely one of the harder. That melody was kind of all over the place, and so it was an interesting problem to solve, especially with the pressure of the live stream. But we did it. So thank y'all for sticking around with me there and doing that with me. So we're gonna send you off with we're gonna see if this works. We're gonna head over to the bye-bye, the thanks for stopping by slate here, and we're gonna see what happens. See, we got the wrong one. You need the thanks for watching. So, I know you can't see me anymore and it's strange, but yeah, thanks y'all for watching. Please like, subscribe. You know what to do. Love you guys. We'll see you on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.